my goal was to feel less fear and anxiety in my bones. So I stepped into the chamber. I laid down on this chair that reclines back, and I started meditating, and I could tell right away there's something like they call it the tachyon tingles. And it was doing that for me. It felt like like I had glitter in my bloodstream. And I got sort of snuggled in, blankets, headphone, eye mask. And I could tell I was going into a meditation pretty quickly and more deep, fast than I had before. And my sensation in my body was that my body's melting into this chair. That's perfect. I know I'm getting to those theta brain waves, but then the chair started to melt into the floor. And then the sensation was the floor was swirling and the chair and the floor were melting to the center of the earth. And I was about to fall. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what is this power?
Welcome back to the Women of Fort Mill podcast, the podcast where we spotlight incredible women in our community who are building, creating, healing, and leading in ways that truly make a difference in all of our lives. I'm one of your co-hosts, Leah Williams, and today we're diving into a conversation that I believe so many of you will resonate with. I've been so excited to get this scheduled and talk with Adrienne. So our guest is someone who brings a very unique modality to our area. I had not heard of this before, and I'm so excited to try it for myself. So I know a lot of you are going to be just as excited as I am. So Adrienne, welcome. I mean, we've been trying to coordinate this for a while, and I'm so happy that we could finally make it happen. You're the founder of Torchbearer Tachyon, Torchbearer Chamber. It's a meditation place that you will have to explain more about. But can you share with us a little bit about what led you to finding Tachyon? Like I said, I had not heard of this before we met, and I'm so grateful that we met. But could you take me and everyone else through how this came into your life and just the backstory of who you were before Tachyon and what has happened since it's come into your life?
I would love to do that. First of all, Leah, thank you so much for this opportunity. I am so happy our paths intersected in the fall of this year. And it was because of the work you're doing to lift the community in so many ways. And so I just have to give a shout out to the Impact Awards and the Sandbox and Mora for bringing us together, because I feel like so many magic synchronicities have already happened between me and you. And I see so many more happening. So thank you for this invitation and this opportunity to share.
My pleasure. You know, we all know things happen for a reason, and you come into each other's lives when you're supposed to. And we hadn't even met in person. And I just thought, I love this woman. So
I've been listening to your podcast and I'm like, oh, I want to meet them. I want to meet them. I've already put some businesses into my Instagram that you've profiled. Leah, it's just you and Kelly have built something so magical here. And it's just a big lighthouse for the community. And I think you know this already, but people way beyond Fort Mill love what you're doing. So thank you for this. So I tell you, my story it starts with roots in anxiety. It starts in roots in COVID. It starts with a single mom who was running a nonprofit development department, which is the fundraising side of a nonprofit, who was stressing when COVID happened because how are we going to hit our fundraising goals? But much bigger, what's happening to the planet? Will my kids ever grow up and go to a football game? Will they ever get married? Like, what's happening? And the anxiety hit me so hard during COVID. I went on a mission throughout the spring and summer of finding tools for my toolbox for my anxiety. And I went to a lot of the common places I already knew, which really helped me, like breathing and meditation, grounding, outdoors, all kinds of tools I knew worked for me. But then I started sampling tools that I had never tried before. And I tried acupuncture for my first time in the fall of 2020. And that reminded me of all the energy healers I knew and all the energy work I wanted to do. And I went back to my chiropractor, who doesn't even do snap crack adjustments. She does it all energetically. And the spinal alignment is just without touch. It's amazing. Shout out to Dr. Jenny Gross and Network Spinal. But those things truly led me to my path to where I found in the spring of 2021, tachyon. And tachyon is a strange word. It's Tachyon. It's a Latin-derived word that means fast. Tachyons are a subatomic particle that travel faster than the speed of light. So they kind of break all the rules of our world here. But the fact that quantum physicists are starting to find quarks and dark matter and, study black holes, like we know there's things that everything is explosive right now in science. So tachyons are part of that cutting edge. And don't feel bad that you didn't know what they were. 99.9% of the population across the world has never heard of a tachyon or been inside of a tachyon chamber, which is why this is so special. So I heard about it through a girlfriend of mine named Rachel. She had been researching ways to feel better from adrenal fatigue. And she said, Adrienne, want to do a road trip? And I'm like, oh yeah, you had me at road trip. But she's like, we'll do some hiking. We'll go to Virginia. And while we're there, I want to visit this thing called a tachyon chamber. And I was like, what is that? That sounds like something out of Star Trek. But she said, here, let me just send you the link to the guy's website. He's a retired medical doctor. He opened up this energy healing portal. It's in Waynesboro, Virginia. And even if you don't decide to do it, like we'll do a lot of hikes, it'll be well worth it. I'm like, oh, I know a weekend with you, Rachel, would be soul stirring anyway. So let's go. When we got there, I talked to Dr. Joe McNamara in the lobby of his healing center while my friend Rachel did a 1-hour session in the tachyon chamber. And I was really thinking in my heart, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to spend the money. I don't really believe in this. These are just like crystals and pyramids and sacred geometry. I was very much resistant and skeptical. And after speaking with him and just the authenticity in his voice, honestly, Leah, I was like, what do I have to lose? I'm here. I'm 4.5 hours from Charlotte. There's not one for, 40, there's very few in America when I found this tachyon chamber. I think there was like 12. There's 19 now. So I was like, what do I have to lose? And so I said yes to a 1-hour tachyon chamber experience. And my goal was to feel less fear and anxiety in my bones. So I stepped into the chamber. I laid down on this chair that reclines back and I started meditating. And I could tell right away, there's something like they call it the tachyon tingles. And it was doing that for me. It felt like like I had glitter in my bloodstream. And I got sort of snuggled in, blankets, headphone, eye mask. And I could tell I was going into a meditation pretty quickly and more deep, fast than I had before. And my sensation in my body was that my body's melting into this chair. That's perfect. I know I'm getting to those theta brain waves, but then the chair started to melt into the floor. And then the sensation was the floor was swirling and the chair and the floor were melting to the center of the earth and I was about to fall. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what is this power? I almost called Dr. Joe back into the room to say, turn it down. I'm going too far, too fast. But I didn't call him into the room. And the reason I didn't is because I had this, some people call it astral travel. Some people call it out of body experience. And then I called it a dream. I was just like, I had this dream. I must have fallen asleep. An angel came up on my left and an angel came up on my right. And they didn't speak to me with words, but they gave me the piece of like, you're not going to fall. We're going to catch you. And they caught me. And we had the body sensations of like the G forces of a roller coaster. And we were flying through the cosmos.
Chills. I'm like, oh my gosh.
This was from, fear of falling to, it's like that quote, the little girl's like, mommy, I'm too close to the edge. What if I fall? And the mom says, but what if you fly?
Right.
And so I felt that sensation of just being supported and being safe. And that 1-hour experience in Dr. Joe's tachyon chamber gave these like stirring thoughts of fear and I'm not enough and my kids aren't safe and the world is going to be annihilated. It just gave me so much peace, Leah. And when I came out, I remember Rachel said, how was it? I was like, I don't know what just happened in there. I feel like I went on a magic mushroom ride and Dr. Joe dosed me with something because I feel so much peace and I can't wait to do it again. When are we going to do it again? So he said you can do 2 a day and we did 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. And when we were driving back to Charlotte, Leah, I was telling my friend Rachel, we have to have one of these in Charlotte. Like, why doesn't Charlotte have one yet? There was New York, there was Los Angeles, there was Mount Shasta, California, there was Sedona, Arizona. There just wasn't anything near Charlotte. So that started my journey of knocking on doors and trying to talk people into opening a tachyon chamber, which wasn't successful.
Okay, what was the response?
I mean, my chiropractor, who is the energetic, she's like, this is fascinating to me, but why did you tell me? And I said, well, Dr. Jenny, you have that spare open room. And she said, well, I hear you. You want me to open a tachyon chamber in my clinic, but my son is going to start offering reflexology in that room. So I don't have space. But if you build it, I will come. And that was the first time somebody planted a seed like, what? Me? No, no, no. It's going to be my doctor or my,
Yeah.
hypnotist, my acupuncture therapist. Now all those people come here to Torchbearer Tachyon because after I got no after no after no, it was the spring of 2021 when I discovered Tachyon. I tried for a year to talk someone into opening a Tachyon chamber. And right around the spring of 2022, it became abundantly clear that if it was going to happen, it was going to need to be me. And I remember the day I surrendered to that. I went to bed saying some prayers and I was like, all right, God, if this really has to be me, you're going to have to make it ridiculously easy. Like you're going to have to provide the money and the place and the people. And I don't even have any medical credentials. I'm just a fundraiser at a nonprofit. And seriously, the next morning when I surrendered to make it ridiculously easy, things started falling into place. And a girl, I was walking through my neighborhood, walking my dog. She's walking hers. And she said, hey, wait, Adrienne, are you looking for a room to rent? And I said, no, I've got a house down here. What are you talking about? Are you doing that Airbnb thing? She said, no, I go to this chiropractor and it's your chiropractor too, right? And she mentioned to me you were looking to put a meditation chair in somewhere. I was like, yeah, actually, do you know of a room to rent? And she said, well, there's a healing center in Cornelius. It's got acupuncture and Reiki and a doula and massage therapy. There's an empty room for rent. And what do you know? Within a week, I had toured this place and put down a deposit. And this opened on August 8th of 2022. So it took a while to get the equipment ordered and to get the walls painted and all the setup. But Leah, here we are. It's been like 3 years and then some. And Torchbearer Tachyon is in our community and it's ready.
Wow. I mean, first of all, like you said, 99.9% of people have never heard of Tachyon. And I think the majority of people that are not in the space of believing and living in a world that we know is made up of energy and, science is there to prove it. But if you would have talked to me 5 years ago, I would have been like, this is crazy. Like, what are you talking about? This is so crazy. Fast forward, evolution journey to understand more of universe, like how everything works and our connection to it. And just like a revelation of the truths that have been there all along. We just haven't understood. So for someone that is maybe me 5 years ago that thinks all this is like, woo, what are you guys doing? What are you talking about over there? What would they experience as just, someone that maybe even hasn't done Reiki or acupuncture, any of these other modalities that have some crossover and connection? I mean, the first time I did acupuncture, I felt like it was that deep meditative state that I couldn't get to on my own. And every time I did, it was my favorite time of the week. And it felt like it transferred me to utopia. I just felt so incredible. And you got to find the right person to do it. Some people don't do it right. But what is the experience like? Take away all the beliefs. I'm just a person that has no idea how all of this works, but I'm open-minded and I want to try it because you're saying so many good things about it. What does it look like? I show up and I'm like, okay, Adrienne, I'm here. What happens next?
Yes. So I will share that about 1 in 10 people have that out-of-body experience the first time. And I don't know why I had it because I honestly wasn't like living a really clean lifestyle. Like people who I think of as living really clean lifestyles are eating and high vibration, like eating clean and alkaline water, and they're detoxing all the time through infrared sauna and ionic foot bath. And when your vessel is really clean, you have this connection to other, I call it God. It's creator, source, the all that is. This feeling when you've been in a church, and I grew up in a Southern Baptist church, and the music swells and you're all there together with a candle on Christmas Eve and you're just like, God is in this room. That feeling happens more and more often when you live a very intentional spiritual lifestyle. And a lot of people focus on getting their vessel clean. So you would arrive and I would say, all right, let's set an intention for your session today. And the intention can be anything, like you would start a yoga class and say, my intention is just to feel more peace in my heart. Or my intention is to get rid of this nagging fear that I'm not enough. We say opening prayers. We build a kind of bubble of protection and we invite in your angels and your guides and your ancestors and the ascended masters. Like Jesus Christ is somebody who works with most of my clients in this room to achieve what it is that their heart desires. But in the meantime, despite your intention, Leah, the thing that Tachyon is going to do for each and every soul who comes here is give them perfect divine alignment on 4 planes: the physical plane, this body we walk around in has a lot of moving parts, very complex. The emotional plane, the mental plane, which is where I was struggling with the anxiety and the fear. And then finally, the energetic plane. And when all those templates click into place and they're divinely aligned, miracles happen. Magic happens, mindset shift. It's just the most beautiful space. And I think everyone can identify with being in the zone. Maybe they play tennis or they're at work or they're an artist and they know what that feels like to be in the zone. When all four of those templates are perfectly aligned, you are so in the zone, like magic happens left, right, and center. So you would come into the center. We would talk about your intention. You would lay down. Should I give you a quick tour?
Oh, I would love that. That would be so great.
So while we've been talking, I've had these two things in my lap, and they're just called mega power rods. They look like two magic wands, and they're a tool, a tachyon tool. Sometimes people who can't come to the chamber every week or every month, they decide to buy some of these and take them home. But they're made of stone. Inside is shungite, and they carry a really, really powerful tachyon charge.
Okay.
But when I take you on this tour, I'm going to turn the camera around so that people can see. Okay. So I will show you. This is the chair that reclines all the way back to 0 point gravity. And you're on top of this piece of fabric that is a tachyonized mat. And it has metallic threads running through it with tiny quartz crystal. You're surrounded by these crystal balls. Overhead is a pyramid. I know it sounds hokey. I was the biggest skeptic, remember? But there's crystals and noble metals. We spray a spray in the air. That's a tachyonized room spray that just smells wonderful. So aromatherapy is happening, even if you don't believe in the energetic piece. The chair vibrates. So it's called vibroacoustic therapy. Sound for acoustic, vibration. So all that's going for you, even if you don't believe in tachyon. The chair reclines back. I get you cozy with another mat on top and a tachyon blanket. And then we add an eye mask and headphones to really let you go cocooning in and immerse yourself with the most transcendent track of music. For your first time, I would choose a track called Ascension, Ascension. But there's 111 music tracks. So when people come on a regular basis, Leah, I want your listeners and viewers to know we can work on custom stuff. If it's heartache, maybe they lost a pet. We turn all the lights to green for the heart chakra, and we play music that's 432 megahertz. If it's root chakra stuff and fear and safety, we can turn all the lights to red. We can really customize people's experience here, but you're going to be here for 1 hour. I leave the room, ring a bell. Here's what it sounds like. And I set a timer for 45 minutes. And then I come back and I gently bring you out of your slumber. If you fall asleep, I tell people that's perfect because you're receiving, you're no resistance. But some people don't want to fall asleep. They want to be like wide awake for all the things. And that's cool too. A meditation, a breathing, all those are good. But if you're a newcomer, I say take a nap. Yeah. Just be open to receiving. And so when you're leaving, say that again.
I'd be out. I'd be so peaceful. You would just be like, Leah, you have to go.
Just sleeping away. So I come and I gently tap you on the shoulder and we bring you back down to planet Earth. And I usually say, don't go right back to work. Don't go hop out in traffic. If you can take a walk in nature, if you can go to this coffee shop across the street and do some journaling, if you can, say a prayer in your car, like just take some time for yourself to integrate this experience and then hop into the world. That is ideal because it's a powerful experience. And I want you to capture all that goodness. But tachyon is going to be a cumulative effect. And so the more that you visit, the more your vibration will be resilient. And yes, the knocks of the world will come 100%. You're still going to see like, oh, flat tire on the way home. But the way you respond to those things is truly transformed. And I just know that it's this peace. I call it the peace of God, but it's this tachyon helping you remove blockages to feel that peace 24/7 at all times.
And I know everybody has different beliefs, but for those of us that believe in, God, higher power, it's incredible. It makes you feel closer to him when you realize he created all of these things. He put them on earth for our benefit to help us be in these wonderful states. Because how many times in the Bible does it talk about peace and how important it is and to not be afraid? And sometimes we need a little bit of help because we live in a crazy world that is saying the opposite. And so to have tools that we can implement into our life that help us be our best selves, our highest selves, not scream and react and thinking about the different times and how I've reacted in different scenarios. But when you know that these things are available and then experiencing them, I mean, that is one of the first things that people experience when they come in contact with you, is just this calm, this peace, and it has a ripple effect, because then everyone around you are just like, huh, and that's what, I mean, that's so valuable. It's so incredible to have. So what if I'm someone that is listening and I'm in Illinois or I'm in Ohio and I found the Women of Fort Mill podcast and I'm like, there is not one anywhere close to me. Are there any options to experience this?
You just queued that up so perfectly. So I would like to suggest that they suspend their disbelief for a moment and remember how powerful prayer is. When we have a friend in Australia who's going through a difficult pregnancy and we pray together for her, solo prayers are great too, but gosh, Leah, when we pray together, wow. But that prayer works even though she's in Australia, right? So actually, this is one of my remote clients. So I have remote sessions where I take people from the UK or Australia or Philadelphia, and they send me a photograph of themselves. And I place them here in this tachyon chair and in this chamber. And I do the opening ceremony and prayer, just like I would as if they were here. And they can experience this by laying down on their bed, on their couch. I give them exact instructions. I'm like, make it ceremonial, light a candle, burn some incense or burn some sage and clear your space, maybe with drumming or music. Like everyone's got their own traditions. But Leah, this is just as powerful remotely as it is in person. Although I will say, if you get the chance to come in person, then you get the added chromotherapy, aromatherapy, vibroacoustic. I mean, that's transcendent, but you can do this remotely. And with your blessing, you gave me the thumbs up before. I'd like to put out the Fort Mill 20 promo code, FORTMILL, Fort Mill 20 promo code, which when you would go to the website, the traditional price is 1 hour, $111.
Okay.
111. But for folks who have listened to this podcast and use that promo code, they'll save 20%, which makes it $88.80. So you really can't lose. What's not to try? And if you can find that peace and return yourself to that perfect templated alignment,
yes,
everything is possible. Healing, deep physical, mental, emotional healing is possible. And it's just an honor to serve. And so I look forward to folks who might have questions to check out the website.
I love the intentionality of the numbers, even down to the pricing. I mean, when you start this journey, and each of us come into it many times because something has happened in our life and we're seeking truth or we're seeking healing, or there's so much that these physical bodies need. And I mean, science even tells us that the majority of disease and illness is from emotions trapped in the body and those manifesting into, these horrible things. And I think a lot of us sometimes we don't know, because if we knew, then we would do it. How to release, how to live a freer life. And what I've learned in working in the energy space, and that has just radically changed my life, is some of the things that we carry aren't ours. We're carrying the weight of other people or other people's emotions or guilt or shame, and sometimes it's not even from us. So I mean, if we could just see a visual of all the things that we carry, in fact, in some of the meditations that, the world is on my back, and in a meditation, it's like, God, Jesus, just removing it and feeling like a whole new person. Yeah, I'm so excited, not only that it's local, right, within driving distance, to have the full experience, but that you can also do this virtually. Of course, when I started doing this energy work, telling everybody that I thought was at least a little bit open to it. So I told my sister, Mississippi, and she said, that sounds amazing, but I'm so far. And I said, no big deal. I think they can still work with you. And to know that this too can have such a powerful impact, even if you're in another state. We will put that code in the show notes for people to use. So it's Fort Mill 20. And whether you are local and you can drive, or you're virtual and you just need this in your life, everyone can use it. So all I have to say is, wow, I can't wait. We're scheduling my date. As soon as I hit stop record, we're scheduling the flight date. I have to experience this. So in closing, what would you say to people that, maybe aren't as open-minded and maybe have listened and thought, these two women, crazy, maybe just, what would you say is something to consider, whether it's some of the things that you've mentioned, overwhelming anxiety, or maybe even trauma, things, I think all of us can raise our hands, different kinds of trauma, different levels of severity, but it's still trauma and it's still held in our body. What would you say to people that maybe you've never done anything like this but want a better life, want healing and peace and joy that they haven't experienced?
Right. And even physical pain. I have people who come here for arthritis pain or for back pain or for migraines and lots of PMS symptoms and stuff. But I would say that everyone's path is different. And so this isn't for everyone. And I would just invite them to consider prayerfully assessing if this is for them. Because if their inner wisdom says, no, that's not for you, then I 100% want them to honor that. So I really am not here to convince anyone that it's for them. I'm here to invite them to consider, is this new technology that is a God-given gift for us to raise our vibration and feel that his presence in your heart every day, all day, is this for me? And if it's not, no harm, no foul. I just invite people to consider if it's right for them. And then their intuition, their spirit-led heart will let them know if it is for them. That's my 2 cents.
Well, how can people get in touch with you on social media? What's your website? And we'll put these in the show notes too, but what's the best way to reach out?
So I really think the website is the best place to start. I'll admit I'm not a super technology savvy person. You think like you're working in this quantum technology, surely you know websites, but I'm just still stumbling along. But if you Google the word tachyon or tachyon chamber near me, there might be one near you in your state. There's like 19 open to the public right now in America, but there's a lot of private ones. Did I mention my doctor bought one for her house? She's like, I need to have this for my kids to grow up and they need to do their prayer and meditation in this room. And so she's got one in her house right now. But I would start with the website and it's Torchbearer Tachyon. And so torch, like carry the torch, bearer, Bearer. Okay. And then tachyon is that weird word, TACHYON.com. And if you start there, all the socials are listed there. And then we're totally going to put a link to this podcast on there when we have it published.
Wow, Adrienne, thank you for spending time with me this morning. I'm so excited to personally experience it, to spread the word to other people. I'm not great at social media either, but I will do my best when I come there to record and do something because I'm strong in a lot of areas, but that is not one.
I think you're terrific at that, Leah. You're underselling yourself 100%. So if you're not good, then none of us have hope. So claim it.
Well, ladies, thank you for joining us. I know that this episode impacted so many women. I mean, I got chills multiple times because at the end of the day, we all want joy, peace. There's so much heartache. I mean, just last night, my husband said, hey, did you know this family who just plane crashed in Statesville and them and their 2 kids? Like there are so many terrible things that we see constantly. And it's easy to just fall under the weight of that and to feel stress and anxiety constantly. And there are things that we can incorporate into our life. So thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your story. Ladies, if this impacted you, share it with somebody else who you think would be interested or who's experiencing some of the same things that I have or Adrienne did before she found Tachyon. I think it will truly make a difference. We'll have the code for you to use in the show notes. And go to her website and then go to her socials, follow her, share the post so we can keep on spreading the great word. So Adrienne, thank you again. I can't wait to see you in person.
Thank you so much. Bye.